So this is the video where I'm going to show how to install my signature faux locks that are single-ended with loose hair on one end, on the top end of the faux lock. So I have the previous video is a tutorial for making these faux locks, and this is the video that will be the tutorial for installing them. So here's my crazy natural hair, and I am ready to get these faux locks installed. So let's get to it. So the things that you're going to need for installation are a comb with some type of a rat tail end on it, a flat iron that you don't care about because it's going to get kind of, you can see this one's kind of dirty from flat ironing to seal these faux locks. You don't want to use a flat iron that you use with your actual hair. I like to either use Black Panther Strong for wavy or curly hair types. If it's having a little bit of a hard time keeping in the part, or you can use Pump It Up for straight to really slippery hair types if you need a little extra hold. So what I like to do is actually I start right here with a section right at my temple, and you can do just a little trial section right here. When you're doing your own hair, you always want to start with something that is easy for you to see. So if you're starting with somebody else's hair, then definitely start at the back of the head and just work up and do the top last. But if you're doing your own hair, you want to section out a little piece of hair. And even though my hair is thin and slippery, straight, whatever, it still does hold things well. It's very strong even though it's thin. So you're going to section out that little piece. Then you're going to get one of your faux locks, and we are going to kind of divide this piece of hair into about half. So you're going to braid with half of this and then wrap with half of this. So taking the faux lock right where it stops at the twist, we're going to attach that around this little section of natural hair. So you just bend it over, and then we're going to take half of that, and I hold it in my mouth. You can also clip it up. And braid with half of it. Keeping the tension tight, but not too tight. Now you'll notice that my natural hair, which is this little piece right here, is almost exactly the same color and length as the braid hair in that section. So you're going to braid down about 1.5 inches or so. Then you're going to hold that. And this is what we're going to do for the wrapped part. So we're going to bring that all the way up to the top of that lock, and we're going to wrap it around that braid to hide the braid, because you want this to not look like a braid and a dreadlock. You want it to look just like one single faux lock. So wrap that down. Then you're going to use the other piece. This is the piece that was braided, and you're just going to keep wrapping. And then you're gonna grab a wet washcloth and your flat iron, which should be all the way up to high heat. You're going to want to be careful not to steam burn yourself against your scalp as you seal the top of that lock. And then you're just going to want to keep steaming it all the way down until you are confident that you've run out of hair. So this gives a very natural looking installation method where there's no glue, there's no rubber bands, it's just steamed, it's just hot water set. So we're gonna do that another time. And you can see that it can move in all directions, so it's not too tight. If you want to have it tighter, you can just twist that section a little bit tighter to start out with. Now you can of course part your rows going back like so, or you can do more freeform parts. Some people like more freeform parts because they look a little bit more natural. So you're gonna get just a little bit of that edge control. Put it on there. If you want a little extra hold, you can spritz. And then we're gonna get our lock. Again, we're angling it right where it stops being twisted. And you're just going to, you're taking this and bending it over. So as you bend it, I just use that finger to kind of get the natural hair one up. Then you're tucking the whole end under and the whole natural one under, and then dividing this. Once you've gotten that 1.5 inches, then you're going to take this piece and wrap it around the top of the lock. And all the way down. Then you're gonna connect it with this, and sometimes I just twist those two little pieces together. And then you're gonna grab your wet washcloth, lay it down, and steam. And I like to angle it up a little bit just so that it kind of the steam kind of comes a little bit away from the head. If you have any problem ends that kind of stick out, or if you find some irregularities down the lock further, you can always just sort of, you know, touch it up with your flat iron. So these things are not going anywhere. You can pull on it. You can see like you're gonna pull the scalp out before you pull the hair off, but they are very, you know, they're very secure, but they're not, the tension isn't so tight that it's going to cause like bumps on the scalp. And that is how I install my custom faux locks for straighter hair or wavy hair, or any hair types like relaxed hair, anything that's like maybe a little bit more slippery and doesn't grab a just wrapped faux lock. If some of that braid hair kind of sticks out, because this has the straighter braid hair mixed in with it, you can always just sort of clip. I mean, you're not cutting your hair, you just sort of like, you can trim those little wayward pieces. So this is the length of the faux locks, and then I'm just gonna continue to get all this crazy, difficult, annoying hair out of the way, because it's just so annoying. I hate how it like sticks to the back of my neck and just everything. It's so hard to style. So you can clip it up, get it out of your way, and just keep proceeding to do your parts. Now you can do like, you can part around the perimeter and do like perimeter braids and work out all the way in. And as you work in, you can, because I have to take breaks because I'm a mom, so you have to take breaks as you work in, you can always pull those around your natural hair, like bun up your natural hair and pull the perimeter ones around so that you know, you can like wrap it up and go places without looking crazy. Or you can do like, you know, more horizontal lines around and work kind of like back from the back up to the top and front. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. I usually do more like the back up, and then when you do the back up, you can just put a hat on and you have like all of the lower stuff done. When you do the perimeter, of course, you can pull it back and wrap it around itself and go. So easy installation. And once again, if you have really long hair, like maybe hair out to here, I wouldn't recommend these because you're gonna have to braid a long ways down, and it's gonna take not only a long time, but it's also going to be really hard to get them out. So to uninstall, what you have to do is untwist, like twist this backward and unwrap that hair and unbraid. So you're basically doing just the reverse process of what you've just done with those faux locks. So I'll do one more and then I will show you, probably like fast forward till I have a few more done so it's not so boring. So just doing one more in this little section. My hair is so challenging because it's like these little hairs just want to like crisscross the parts because they're so fine and so just, you know, hard to hold in place. So sometimes you can even just put a clip to keep all those other hairs out of the way while working on your little section. So natural hair section, get one of your faux locks out of the bundle. Make sure that the end section is pulled kind of straight and any kind of tangles are really out of there. Then we're going to wrap and braid. And this time we are going to take out this section and I'm going to show you how to add it to your clip instead of putting it in your mouth, if you don't want to put it in your mouth. Because some people might feel like that's gross. Although this is all your body, your hair, your mouth, your whatever. Then you're gonna braid. Not all the way down, but far enough to really get a good anchor. So I say 1.5 inches. If you want to be super safe, you could braid 2 inches. What's going to happen to the rest of your natural hair that's left out, that's wrapped with the other hair, is it's just going to like hang out on the inside of that wrapped hair for the duration of when you're wearing these faux locks. It keeps it, the wrapping not only conceals the braid, because you could just braid these in, but the wrapping conceals the braid and it also prevents your natural hair from like poking out of the faux lock, which is always a problem with box braids or twists or things like that if you have straighter natural hair or relaxed natural hair. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more of an advanced technique. You can kind of spread this out if you don't want to have kind of a little bit more hair accumulated at the top. You can kind of spread it out to where you're wrapping it. I don't know if you can really see that, but you're wrapping it kind of in a wider spread versus wrapping it in a tighter piece. And that will give you a smaller section at the top. I'll show you that one more time just to, so instead of kind of having this in a smaller piece and wrapping it all the way around, what I'm doing is I'm expanding it and wrapping it around more like spread out. It's a very subtle difference. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's just for those of you who are pros and want to make that little subtle upgrade to your process. So then once you get to the end of that wrap piece, you're gonna again combine it with the piece that you were braiding with. And continue to wrap. And I am wrapping in a counterclockwise motion while these faux locks are twisted in the same direction. Because you wanna wrap in the same direction as your faux locks are twisted so that you don't end up untwisting the lock while you're wrapping the hair, if that makes sense. Because then when you get to the bottom, what I'm doing underneath of here is actually rolling the lock just a little bit so that it really flows when I seal it down. You can't really tell like where those wrapped ends stop or start. So you want it to be super seamless across there. And once again, these are locks, so obviously you don't want them to be like super symmetrical and perfect, but you definitely don't want to be able to see the installation method. And that's the purpose of doing the braid, wrap, and steam thing is that it kind of, you know, conceals the installation method, and you really get to wear, you know, these locks like they're growing out of your head, which clearly they're so long that they wouldn't really be, but unless you have worked on them for many, many years. Some people do have super long locks, and you know, there actually is such a thing as lock theft, where people will get mugged and not get their money stolen, but actually get their locks stolen. That's just super heartbreaking. It's almost like, I mean, it's just such a personal attack, like a physical attack, kind of, you know, not the same as rape, but in a way it's like you're literally stealing somebody's part of somebody's body by cutting off their locks that they've grown for 10 years or whatever, and just taking them to sell for lock extensions. So sometimes those human hair lock extensions are not sourced very well. So that's why I feel better about using synthetic fiber, because at least it didn't, you know, get stolen off of somebody's head. So yeah, but some people don't like synthetic fiber. If you're going to be growing out your natural hair into locks, then sometimes you want human hair lock extensions because you want it to blend, and you want products to actually respond, or the locks to respond to products. These locks wouldn't respond to any kind of products like moisturizing products, conditioning products, anything like that, because they're just synthetic fiber. So gels, you can't really use products. The only thing you can use on this is the hot water set, the steam set, because essentially it is synthetic fiber, aka, you know, plastic fiber. So it melts. That's how you know, kind of shape it and alter its form, is by hot water, not by other products. So I have completed all of these guys. 3, 6, 9, probably about 20 locks or so. And I'm just gonna show you what I do when my natural hair is like a little bit longer than the actual faux lock hair that's left out. Is I just go ahead and trim off the end, take a little bit of that edge control, and just kind of make sure that the ends of your hair are nice and smooth, so that when you braid past that, you'll be able to conceal that end and it won't be popping out. So once again, you're taking your section, wrapping the hair around it one time, then you're going to hold that and divide it in half. You want to take the longer end to use for wrapping. And you're going to go ahead and just braid all the way down. And you just want to keep that tension nice and tight as you braid, so that there's no slippage. And when I'm about an inch or so down, I kind of divide this little hair so that there's a little bit of that textured hair to grab that third strand where the natural hair is. And then you want to braid just past the end of that natural hair, because you want to make sure that it's not going to pop out of the lock. And then you're going to bring this loose hair that you have around and just keep bringing it around all the way down. Then you're going to combine these two strands. Just kind of twist them together and wrap all of that together. And you can see that you cannot find where that natural hair ends because it's so wrapped up inside of all that. Then you're going to take your washcloth that is wet but not dripping. This is actually a clean washcloth, but it has paint. I've used it for paint in the past, so it's kind of stained with paint colors. And you're going to flat iron on high heat. And again, you want to use an old flat iron, one that you don't really care about, because just in case you get a little bit of the synthetic hair on the flat iron and it melts, you don't want to ruin a good flat iron. So you can see how that is nice and smooth all the way down. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep going. So we're almost halfway or so done. So this is kind of how I put it up, how I pull it over. You can see that part of the back is still not completed, but I just pull it up over top of the natural hair that's not completed and then go about my day, because I usually just take like an hour here or there to work on my hair, because I have so many mom duties and work responsibilities, with hair for other people and artwork. So I just kind of pick away at it a little bit, but this will give you a good idea of the installation process, kind of what it looks like. You can kind of see that some of the blonder ones are in there. They're variegated. It kind of gives it a little shimmer, a little highlight. And yes, you can see that I do have baby hairs left out, but they are blonde, so you can't really see them and you can't really do much with them. So yeah, this is just how I do my faux locks. And once again, the method of actually making these faux locks is in the previous video. These faux locks are not on sale on the market. You have to make them yourself. Someday probably somebody will start manufacturing them if it becomes a popular installation method. But once again, these are the hair left out on the end, half of it is braided, and then it's wrapped around and steam sealed, as opposed to using glue or rubber bands or just wrapping the hair all the way down to the end of the lock. So it's actually quicker to install because they are pre-made ahead of time. So installing these is quicker than making the faux lock on the actual person's braid, which is the wrap method. The quickest way of all time would be the crochet, the single-ended loops where you just crochet them into cornrows. However, that method does not last very long on straight or slippery hair types, just because the cornrows are going to kind of like grow out and slip out a little bit. And so that method doesn't hold as tight if you don't have any kind of good shrinkage to hold those braids against your head. So anyway, this is just my little method, and I hope somebody finds it useful and helpful. Just want to share some tips and tricks of how I do my hair.